Hey you guys, it's Therese and welcome back to my channel. Today is a bit of a different video, as you can tell. Today is my first journal with me video. Now, disclaimer before I get started, I highly doubt that I'll ever do a full plan with me on this channel. It literally takes me about a full week to do everything because I get distracted or I don't like the theme I'm working on and change my mind. So, doubt this will ever happen, but if you ever want to see like my themes for the month or a flip through, I do have a highlight on my Instagram stories, so go check that out. However, I am going to decide to do the occasional journal with me video. This week's journal with me is going to be about my top 5 animes. I asked you guys on Twitter what you guys wanted to see, and some of y'all had said that you guys wanted to see my top 5 favorite animes. So, let's start with the anime that I'm currently working on, that's currently on the spread I'm working on. Note, this is going to be in no particular order. Also, please note that any pictures that I use for this video, I have found either on Pinterest or primarily Google Images, because these are all from the actual screen caps of the anime or actual artwork from the creators. But if they're not, I will try to have linked the original artist in the description. But if I can't find them, I can't find them, and the art belongs to the creators. Also, I will be adding trigger warnings for some of these animes because we all know that some animes get a little bit intense. And I want to make sure you guys aren't jumping into it and then finding something that you guys did not like or should not have seen. Now, this anime is called Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. This follows Kamada Tanjiro, who is the eldest in his family, and after his family is brutally murdered by a demon and his sister is turned into one, he joins the Demon Slayer Corps to find revenge and find a way to turn his sister back. Now, I really had no idea what I was getting myself into when I started this anime. I just saw a lot of previews on Facebook for Crunchyroll about this anime, and the animation looked really cool, and there's a lot of cool looking fight scenes, so I decided to pick it up after I finished Haikyuu. I thought it was going to be a pretty heavy anime, but not too serious, like something like Inuyasha, where we got some heavy topics, but overall, it was still fairly lighthearted. I was very, very, very wrong. Now, there's only one season out so far, and I think the second season is slated to come out December of either this year or next year. There's so many emotions from just the 26 episodes that's available on this season. Primarily from Tanjiro and the demons he fights. There, like I said, a lot of feelings. You think that you're gonna hate the demons, but somehow by the end of the arc that they have, you end up feeling something for them. Not so much a cleanse of what they did wrong, cleaning up their sins, but you feel bad as to how they got in this position in the first place. Aside from that, the characters are all pretty super complex. You get to see a lot of layers with each different character, even like I said, within just the first season. And I have a feeling that when we get to the second season, which the trailer is already out, there's going to be a lot more complexities within the characters themselves. I'm very excited to learn about Gyu, who is the last character that I have on the spread. I'm not looking at the video right now, but he's the one on the bottom left with the pouty face. That's him. I also really love the animation. It does get a little wonky at times, but I think aside from the occasional weird kind of 3D look to some of the transitions, the fight scenes are absolutely favorite to watch. There's just so the thought that goes into it and kind of the manga looking lines to make everything stand out and seem visually appealing. Perfect. Trigger warnings though, if you guys decide to pick up this anime based off of my recommendations, just know there's a lot of death and violence and some abuse. Some of them's more hinted and others not so much. Moving right along. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that I made a spread for Haikyuu a few months back when I started watching the first season. Haikyuu is a pretty simple slice of life kind of anime. It's following this high schooler named Hinata Shoyo who wants to be the greatest left-wing spiker or ace spiker after watching a volleyball game and seeing a player about his height on TV kind of take over the court and be this really well-known kind of guy. Again, like Demon Slayer, I was kind of skeptical because I'm so finicky with animes, you guys, you have no idea. Primarily with the anime style, but this one, my goodness, it's something else. While the plotline is really simple, the execution isn't. It explains the mechanics of volleyball without going too in-depth and making you feel like an absolute dummy. Then the characters from major to minor characters are all fleshed out. And you think that it would be kind of hard considering in animes you don't have the space or the time to do so, but they're all fleshed out. And like by the end, you can't get mad at the opposing teams because in the 20 minutes that you have watching these players, you'll end up falling in love with them too, because we literally see backstories, like detailed backstories to these characters without taking away from the main team that plays and the main game, but also still somehow adding some like oomph to their characters, you know? The openings and the soundtrack are perfect, and like I love them so much I find myself jamming out to Hikariare and Fly High basically on a daily basis. There's no sense of toxic masculinity that you think you'd see in a male-dominated anime, because I feel like that does happen quite a bit. There, even if you don't think there is going to be some, there is some kind of like toxic masculinity in there in terms of like winning and all that stuff. Because like you see a lot of the boys cry, they're allowed to feel things for the game, they're allowed to feel things outside of the game, and everyone in their team is super supportive and like super helpful and like making sure they feel their emotions and like getting them to like where they need to be. It also shows a healthier side of competitions, where I feel like in some like TV shows or something, we see competitions and it's always kind of negative, like you never see them form a bond. But here, these guys somehow magically form a bond, and you see them use their rivals as a way of growing, and it's just a really amazing thing to see. And like, you can't hate a character. Well, you can, but you'd be a terrible human being for hating them because they're all so precious and so amazing and so lovely. The next anime is an oldie but a goodie, and that is Inuyasha. Honestly, I have so many fond memories about this anime. One of them primarily waking up super early in the morning, like right before my alarm goes off, just to see like the last leg of Adult Swim, because they would play this anime in the morning, and just like watch the 2 episodes that they play and then head into the shower to, you know, get ready for school. This anime in particular is about Higurashi Kagome, who's like a middle schooler, I think, who accidentally falls through this well at her family's shrine and ends up in feudal era Japan. This is one of the earliest animes that I ever remember watching, along with Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, Pokemon, and Sailor Moon, to name a few. I believe this anime is actually written and drawn up by a woman, which it kind of explains why, even though there is like nudity in this anime and some perverted kind of actions, it's still fairly like you seldom ever see a sexualized like body parts that you normally do in most animes, where like, you know, the boobs move like they're actually alive, if that makes any kind of sense. This anime actually showed me the concept of different strong women at a pretty young age. I mean, most animes did that for me already, but this one in particular, just because there are so many different archetypes of women in this anime, and we see them kind of helping each other out, but sometimes they're also against each other, and it's just, I think it was a nice thing for me to see at a young age, where the world kind of wanted me to hate women. Trigger warnings though, if you guys decide to watch this. Like I said, there is some nudity, some violence, some blood, and perverted inappropriate actions. Like I said, it is feudal era Japan, and animes back then were pretty different, but I still think it's a really good anime. Granted, this probably, looking back at it, wasn't an anime that a middle schooler should have been watching, but you know, we're not gonna get into that, because we're not gonna go there. The next anime is a pretty new one, and that's Kakegurui. Now, this one is an interesting one. This is basically about an elite high school where like the main currency and how like the tiers work is based off of gambling. There are several tiers, and when you get to the bottom, that's when you end up owing money to whoever it is, and you're basically meant to serve those above you until you pay it off. And there's a lot of like inappropriate situations where people can take advantage of that and like abuse it because you are in that situation. I think they literally call you a dog, I think. Now, I said this is interesting because there's a lot of psychology and analytics behind this anime, specifically around how they manipulate the games, like their games, because each kind of like big player or each student has their own preferred gamble, like game they like to use to gamble. So they each have like their ways where they like manipulate it to cheat and make it interesting for them and make it simple for them to win. But then on the other hand, we also see how the opposing characters, which are typically our main characters, go ahead and try to figure this out. And for me, as you know, someone who likes psychology, I like seeing or guessing to see how they would have, how the other person has like tweaked this game to make it easier for them to win. Very interesting for me. I love it. When you watch this anime, be wary though, because like the main character Yumeko and some other side characters tend to sexualize gambling in terms of there being an implication of them finding sexual gratification from gambling and like the highs from gambling. So it does get a little bit uncomfortable if that's something you're not used to. But I feel like if you're like me who likes kind of this more twisted way of gambling and like, you know, seeing rich kids kind of screw around, you'll probably get used to it. But if not, just know that's there. Thankfully, my friend Ethel had suggested this anime and warned me about it, so when things started getting a little too, I was prepared. Last anime on this docket is Hellgirl, which is the next spread on the right page. Now, Hellgirl, much like Haikyuu, has a pretty simple plot, but the execution can get pretty complicated. The basis of the plot is that there's this website which you think has like the implications of a death note, where you can send someone to hell by typing their name in at midnight and only midnight. Anytime after the website goes away, or you can't type the name anymore. Then Hellgirl and like her little band of like misfits appear and gives you this straw doll, which is typically again one of the band of misfits. And then you are given the option to pull the string from its neck. And when you do that, you're signing an invisible contract where you send the person to hell, but also you're cursing yourself to go to hell because you are committing a sin which involves someone dying and going to hell, and you know there has to be some kind of like payment. And your payment happens to be your eternal soul. Now, the complex part is when you learn about the people like Hellgirl and her assistants and how they got to this position and why they want they like their job and the psychology behind it. Like some people send people to hell over understandable things. There are rapists, there are bullies and thieves, and all that horrible, terrible stuff that no one should ever have to go through. Then there are some really petty things that happen as for why someone would send someone else to hell. Such as someone being prettier than you, someone being popular, someone having more athletic ability. The other interesting part is that no matter what Hellgirl and her associates think of the reason as to why they're sending you to hell, their job is to be impartial and send them to hell regardless. Because you do see that there are moments when her assistants are like, why are we sending them to hell? They shouldn't go here. or like we learn about why the Hell Girl has become Hell Girl. Also, the anime is pretty superb. Blah. For being something that was created in like 2005, I think. I need to give this anime another rewatch. I first watched this anime when I was like, I think a freshman in high school. And yeah, there are now 4 seasons. I think that the series has finally ended. And I tried making it to the 3rd season, but Crunchyroll did something weird where it was like repeating episodes from the 1st season. So if any of you guys have seen the anime, can y'all let me know if that was on purpose or like where I can watch the anime to its completion without that weird repeating glitch? I'd appreciate you, and I'd like to know in the comments below. But that is it for my top 5 animes. I hope you guys liked it and enjoy hearing me talk about some of my favorites. This is not like a complete list. I have a lot of favorite animes that I could not fit on this list. Granted, looking at how long this audio clip is and how long my video is, I probably should have added a couple more. However, if you guys want to see more of my animes, just let me know in the comment down below, and I will go ahead and do another journal with me, and we can chat. Other than that, hit like, subscribe, and comment for more chaotic journaling content, or more chaotic bookish content in general. If you guys like animes, please recommend some to me, or if you want me to make another journal with me, talking about a specific topic that doesn't have to do with animes, let me know. I'd love to hear and I'll get right to it. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. Bye.